Ernest Henry Mining is an underground copper and gold mining and processing operation located 38 kilometres northeast of Cloncurry in northwest Queensland, Australia. We are part of Glencore's portfolio of copper assets in Australia, which also includes the Mount Isa Mines copper operations, Copper Refineries Limited in Townsville, and the CSA mine near Cobar, New South Wales. Ernest Henry Mining began commercial production in March 1998 as an open pit mining operation, and in 2009 we announced a $589 million project to transition the operations to underground shaft mining. We commenced trucking ore from underground in December 2011 upon completion of the Ernest Henry open pit, and celebrated the beginning of hoisting operations from our new kilometre-deep underground shaft in June 2014. The shaft enables production rates of around 6 million tonnes of ore per annum, producing 50,000 tonnes of copper and 70,000 ounces of gold in concentrate annually over an extended mine life to 2026. Mined ore is processed at our on-site concentrator, and copper concentrate containing gold is transported by road using local contractors to Glencore's copper smelter in Mount Isa for smelting to anode. The anode is then railed to Glencore's refinery in Townsville for refining to cathode. The copper cathode is delivered by road, rail and ship to domestic and export customers. Ore is mined underground, utilising an innovative sub-level caving mining method before it is crushed and transported by conveyors to the shaft for hoisting to the surface. The ore is then transported from the shaft by an overland conveyor to the concentrator, where the grinding process reduces the ore to a fine slurry. This is passed through the flotation section, where reagents are added to separate the copper and gold from the ore. This mineral-rich mixture is dewatered to form the final copper-gold concentrate. It is passed through the concentrator thickener and filter, and the final concentrate falls onto the concentrate stockpile. From here, it is loaded into purpose-built trucks and transported to Mount Isa for smelting. We see sustainability as integral as to how we do business. Our long-term success requires us to prioritise sustainability throughout our business. Our number one priority in the workplace is to protect the health and well-being of all our workers. We believe in the possibility of a zero-harm operation. One way we are aiming to achieve this outcome is through the implementation of the Safe Work program. This program focuses on life-saving behaviours and the fatal hazard protocols which all workers and visitors are required to abide by. The life-saving behaviours are: always come to work drug and alcohol-free, always use or wear critical safety equipment, always wear appropriate fall protection equipment when working above 2 metres, only operate equipment if trained and authorised, always isolate and test for lead prior to working on energy sources, never modify or override critical safety equipment without approval, always seek and obtain clear approval before entering mobile equipment operating zones, never enter danger zones, always report injuries and HPRIs. The fatal hazard protocols are: energy isolation, working at height, confined spaces and a respirable, noxious atmosphere, mobile equipment, ground strata failure, electrical safety, emergency response, lifting and craneage, fire and explosion, explosive and shot firing, tyre and rim management, inrush and outburst. In line with the life-saving behaviours and fatal hazard protocols, we strive to achieve best practice in what we do and are committed to providing injury-free, healthy workplaces for all of our workers. To ensure a safe workplace, by training our people to identify workplace hazards, by providing fit-for-purpose tools and equipment, by requiring all employees to commit to standard operating procedures and by involving all workers in the ownership of safety. We also care for our environment, and our environment management strategy incorporates control strategies for surface water, groundwater, waste rock, air quality, waste management and rehabilitation. All waste material, including hazardous substances, grease, oil and general waste, is separated and stored. During your visit, please dispose of rubbish in the appropriate bins. Recycle wherever possible and never interfere with any systems designed to protect the environment. Ernest Henry Mining shares a mutually beneficial relationship with the Cloncurry community. We employ local people and support local businesses and products wherever possible, in line with our business requirements. We also support events and initiatives in the local area through our corporate social involvement programs, which include sponsorships, donations, and the Glencore Community Program North Queensland. Conversely, the mine benefits from Cloncurry's existing health and education services and retail and business outlets. All visitors to Ernest Henry Mining are required to present at the security office to complete this presentation and be issued with a visitor's tag after signing into the visitor's book. You are required to wear the visitor's tag at all times, as it is your authorisation for supervised entry to site. You must be accompanied by your host, who has completed a full Ernest Henry Mining worker induction. Upon leaving site, the visitor tag must be returned to security. To ensure your visit is safe and productive, we ask that you pay close attention to the following information, which covers key safety rules and procedures. Remember, for your safety, it's important you fully understand and follow the conditions of entry to the Ernest Henry Mining site. Ernest Henry Mining has an obligation to ensure that you are fully aware of these conditions. At the end of this presentation, you will be required to answer some questions to demonstrate your understanding of site rules and procedures. Ernest Henry Mining does not permit smoking in any company buildings, company vehicles, or where no smoking signs are displayed. Possession or use of alcohol or illegal drugs on site is prohibited. If walking around site with your host, UV protection in the form of appropriate clothing and sunscreen is available from the administration building. Appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE, must be worn at all times while on site. Your host will advise you of the necessary PPE required in the particular area you're visiting, such as hearing protection. If you have arrived at the security office with your own vehicle, you may be permitted to be escorted by your host to the administration car park, and you will need to observe the signed speed limits. As a visitor, you are not permitted to drive a vehicle beyond the administration car park. The only exception to this rule is for one-off delivery drivers who shall complete the driver delivery induction and questionnaire. Whilst in your vehicle or your host's vehicle, you are required to wear a seatbelt and adhere to Queensland Road traffic rules. This includes no driving while using a mobile phone, unless a hands-free kit is installed in the vehicle. When walking around the site, stay with your host. Keep to walkways. Give way to all mobile plant and equipment, including heavy vehicles, and make sure you are clearly visible to equipment and machinery operators. A medical centre is located at the northeast corner of the administration building, and attention is available 24 hours a day. Nurses and emergency response personnel on site are trained and qualified to provide treatment and respond to an emergency. In the event of an emergency, use the emergency channel on the radio, or if calling from an internal phone, call 222. For a mobile phone, the number to call is 47694444. In the event of an emergency, your host or other Ernest Henry Mining personnel will direct you to the nearest emergency assembly area. Once everyone is assembled, an audit will be completed to make sure all on site are accounted for. Please follow all directions given by Ernest Henry Mining representatives. They will explain the nature of the emergency and the action required to ensure everyone's safety. Ernest Henry Mining is committed to a workplace free from harassment, bullying and discrimination. We also respect diversity in our workplace. As a visitor to Ernest Henry Mining, your attention and compliance to our rules and procedures will ensure a safe, enjoyable visit. Your host will answer any questions or concerns you have. A warm welcome to Ernest Henry Mining.